We're here to graph sine and cosine functions. We're going to start out by familiarizing you with the two functions. You notice that the shape of them is easy enough to recall. They're both wave functions. The waves are each we call it a amplitude of 1. And so you can see both the sine graph and the cosine graph oscillate between a y value of -1 and +1. Okay. I'm going to read through this kind of quickly. I do recommend that you look through your notes and kind of study these, however briefly, for a little bit. I'm going to point out they're very similar, as I said. We're going to point out some important things, okay? So starting with sine, as we said, the amplitude is 1. Now, amplitude is wave height. So it's merely the distance from the equilibrium point, which in this case is the x-axis, up to the crest of the wave, or from equilibrium down to the trough. That's how the amplitude is measured. Don't measure from the maximum point down to the minimum point. Period is how long it takes to complete one cycle. Now, it's impossible for us to represent this entire graph, but you can see that one cycle is completed, and I don't have a scale here, I wish I did, in 2 pi units. This would be pi right here, this would be pi over 2, and of course then this would be 3 pi over 2. And the same thing goes for this cosine graph later. The domain is all real numbers. You can take the sine of any angle you wish. You'll always get a result. The range goes from -1 to 1. There are zeros at multiples of pi. So at 0, 1 pi, 2 pi, and so on. And we're going to talk about these. These I don't want you to memorize because we can actually use some different ones too. We'll talk about that when we start graphing. A sine function, so y equals sine x is the parent function. We're going to be graphing transformations of that just like we have all year. Okay? So other things, the amplitude can be found by taking the absolute value of this coefficient right here, and the period can be found. The period might change if we transform the graph. We might stretch it or compress it. Is found by taking the normal period, which is, we said earlier, 2 pi, and dividing that by this coefficient b inside, which hopefully that makes sense, right? The period is an x distance. If they're multiplying by b, we do the inverse inside, so we're going to divide by b. C and D represent a horizontal and a vertical shift, just as they do with other functions. You'll notice if I look at this with cosine, everything is pretty much the same, only the zeros are different. They're at odd multiples of pi over 2, such as 1 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, and so on, negative pi over 2, negative 3 pi over 2, and so on. One more thing here, if we look at the unit circle, and earlier this chapter we worked on, pretend that's a circle, we worked on finding sine and cosine values of quadrantal angles, in other words, angles that terminate on an axis, using this little diagram. So we know this is 0, for example, and 1 pi over 2 and 2 pi over 2 are pi, 3 pi over 2, and all the way around to 2 pi. When I take the sine of 0, remember sine is the y value. Well, sine of 0 is going to be 0. That's why the graph goes through the origin. The sine of pi over 2 is 1. So the graph has a point at pi over 2, 1. Sine of pi is back to 0. So pi 0. Sine of 3 pi over 2 is -1. So 3 pi over 2, -1, and so on. So you can see how the points on the graph coincide to some of the points we found. If I would do cosine instead, well, cosine of 0 is 1, so it starts up at a maximum 0, 1. And then pi over 2 would be 0. Pi would be -1, because we're looking at the x value, and so on and so forth. Okay, explaining the look of that graph. Because they're similar, what you want to remember is the parent function for sine should increase right through the origin, or we'll say the equilibrium. Okay, it's going to increase right through there, right through that midpoint of the graph, whereas cosine crosses the y-axis at a maximum. And those are going to be some things you want to realize. All right, let's get on to it. We're going to first just do some problems where we determine what the amplitude and the period of each of these sine or cosine graphs is. Okay, amplitude is, remember, it's the wave height. It always has to be a positive number. So we're going to take the absolute value of whatever the lead coefficient is, because remember, that's going to stretch the graph out. Instead of being 1 from -1 to 1, it's going to stretch it out from -3 to 3. So your amplitude is going to be 3. Your period, normally for cosine, is 2 pi. However, inside, you notice we're multiplying x by pi. Well, if we multiply x by pi, we have to divide by pi, and the period is going to be 2. So this graph would complete one cycle in 2 units rather than 2 pi units. Now that doesn't sound significant, but remember, pi is 3.14. So this period is completed in about 6.28 units. It got squeezed considerably. Okay? This next one's a sine graph, but that's no matter. The lead coefficient is 2/3. Therefore, the amplitude is the absolute value of that. So that's just 2/3. And then the period is normally 2 pi, but they're multiplying x by 1/2, so we will divide by 1/2, and the new period would be 4 pi. So just simply dividing fractions there. 2 pi divided by 1/2 is 4 pi. And then this last one, the amplitude, you'll notice there's a -1 as a lead coefficient, so the amplitude would be the absolute value of that, so the amplitude will be 1. The period, careful here, is normally 2 pi, but they're multiplying by 2/5 pi, we have to divide by 2/5 pi. Now, remember, when we are multiplying fractions, when we're dividing fractions, we can multiply by the reciprocal. So instead of dividing by 2 pi over 5, you can multiply by 5 over 2 pi. Those dividing the 2 pi's first gives us 1, and so the period is 5 in that case. All right, now let's go on to actually graphing some problems. And even though it doesn't say to find the period and the amplitude, we're going to look at our graphs when we're done to make sure that it is what it should be. So graph each function showing at least one cycle. Determine domain and range. Well, we can see here that the parent function is y equals the sine of x, right? Now y equals the sine of x. I'm just going to draw a little sketch of it. We should remember it increases through the origin, okay? Now it's helpful to start out with 3 points on a graph that represent a minimum, a midpoint, and a maximum. So this point, and remember that as we go over to the main graph, all these important points are pi over 2 units away. Every quadrantal angle, 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi, and so on. So every pi over 2 something happens. So this minimum right here will be at negative pi over 2, then 0, 0, then pi over 2, 1. Those are 3 really good points to use as we start graphing this function by transformations. So we're going to use negative pi over 2, negative 1, 0, 0, and pi over 2, 1. That way I get this minimum, this 0, and this maximum, okay? Now, the rest is transformations like you've done all year. We aren't doing anything inside at all. It's still just an x. However, outside we are multiplying by -4, so that's going to be -4 times y, and then subtract 3 from all those y values. So the x values will stay the same, negative pi over 2, 0, and pi over 2. And the y values will change to 1, -3, and -7. So I've already set up a graph with a scale here. You would have to set this up on your own. But you can call this x scale anything you want. Since my x values are all pi over 2 apart, I'm going to pick a scale of pi over 2. Notice I'm going to put this out on the side. Rather than label everyone and make a big mess in here, just tell what your scale is at the end. But I do need to know what your scale is. Don't make me guess where your points are. So negative pi over 2, 1. It's going to be right there. 0, -3 will be down there, and pi over 2, -7 will be down here. Now that's only 3 points on the graph. How am I supposed to tell what it looks like? Well, we know sine is a wavy graph. This must be a maximum, a 0, and a minimum. Well, since the scale is pi over 2, how is this? If you look at a sine graph, it simply goes from a max, then to a midpoint, then a minimum, then a midpoint, then a maximum. It just keeps alternating. Max, midpoint, minimum, midpoint, max. And the same thing with cosine. So if this is a minimum, the next tick mark will be a midpoint. The next will be a max, a midpoint, a min. Now it says you have to graph at least one cycle. I think your book asks you to graph 2 actually, but it's really easy to graph a whole bunch. We just kind of go through this, and you know how I draw in here, so this could get ugly. It's a high point, comes down, it's a low point, comes back up, it's a high point, back up through the midpoint, and then a low point again. So I've actually graphed 2 cycles, one from minimum to minimum, and then another one. And that's the sine graph. So it's kind of tall and skinny. Why? Well, it got stretched vertically. The amplitude is now 4. It goes from -7 all the way up to 1. That's a distance of 8. But from the equilibrium, which would be, oh boy, right about there, that amplitude is 4. Yeesh. What happened to the period? Well, you know, the coefficient of x is just a 1. So the period is still 2 pi. We didn't change it at all. So you can tell, like for example, from a maximum to another maximum, that distance should be 2 pi. Since my scale is pi over 2, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 pi over 2, which, yep, that's 2 pi, all right. I could also go from a minimum to a minimum. If I'm going to go between zeros, I have to go every other 0. So it has to increase through the midpoint, increase again. That's, again, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines apart. 4 times pi over 2 would give me 2 pi. Let's try to get one more graph in here, and then I'll start a second video to finish up. So this one is a cosine graph. Now cosine does not go through the origin. Cosine, the parent function at least, starts at a maximum, 0, 1. So that would be a dynamite place to start. After a maximum, it comes to a 0, so that would be pi over 2, 0. And then at pi, it'll be down at a minimum. Remember, these points are all pi over 2 apart. So 0, 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2. And then we have all three. We've got a max, a 0, and a min. Now what's happening? Well, inside we're multiplying by pi over 3. So that means I'm going to divide x values by pi over 3, or what's nicer is multiply by the reciprocal. So let's multiply the x values by 3 over pi. Then the y values will multiply by 3 halves, and then we'll add 1. Those two things are happening outside the function. So let's see what happens to x first. 0 times 3 over pi, well that's easy, it's still 0. Pi over 2 times 3 over pi, look over here, pi over 2, nice 2, times 3 over pi, you see pi divided by pi is 1. So you just get 3 over 2. Now you can tell the third value 2 ways. These have to be evenly spaced. So this is 0, 1 and a half. This is going to have to be 3, we know already. However, I could still take pi times 3 over pi, and you could see that those pi's cancel, and sure enough. Now let's do the y values. 3 halves times 1 plus 1 is 5 halves. 3 halves times 0 plus 1 is 1. 3 halves times -1 plus 1 is -1 half. So let's plot these points. 0, 5 halves, which would be about 2.5. 3 halves, 1. I'm using a scale of 1 here. You could have used a scale of 1.5 if you wanted to. That way you could go every line. 3, -1 half. Notice the equilibrium, which is a good idea to mark, is right about there. And I'm going to go from max to 0 to min. Now where do I go from there? We'll go over another 1.5. I should get a 0. Another 1.5. I should get a max. And there will be one cycle. If I wanted more, just go 1.5 over here and get a 0. Another 1.5 and get a minimum. And you kind of look like that. All right, we'll draw more on so that's about 1.5 cycles, I guess, there. We'll do another one next video.